What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing. I just finished up watching Regis Prograis versus Danielito Zorrilla, and this was a 12-rounder for the WBC Super Lightweight World Championship. And this fight was Saturday, June 17th, from the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. And this fight was broadcasted on DAZN. And in this fight, Regis Prograis was able to pick up an underwhelming, extremely underwhelming, split decision victory over Danielito Zorrilla. So I personally scored this bout 114-113 in favor of Zorrilla. I thought that the heavy underdog won this fight by a point. I think it could have went either way, but the judges' scorecards for this fight were insanely terrible. Personally, I thought this fight was a 1 point fight either way. I could have saw it 6-6 with the knockdown, because there was a knockdown in this one in favor of Prograis, or I could have saw it 7-5 in favor of Zorrilla, minus the 1 point because he got dropped 114-113, which was my scorecard. But two of the judges had insanely bad scorecards. One of them did agree with my scorecard at 114-113 for Zorrilla, and the other two, I don't know what they were watching. I don't know if they had one of Prograis' guys in their ear the entire time, but they had it 118-109 and 117-110 for Prograis. I gotta admit, this fight was not a good fight, not an exciting fight. Both of them didn't really do much, but I mean, come on. I mean, Zorrilla, he won a lot of rounds in this fight. Although they were close, he won a lot of rounds. And if you were watching this fight, comment down below how you scored it. I would imagine that would be pretty close because, I mean, it was just a very tough fight to score, considering with the two contrasting styles. But just to break this fight down round by round, in the first round, Zorrilla actually got robbed of a knockdown. He was landing some big right hands, and then when Prograis was going forward, he landed a perfectly placed right hand that sent Prograis down. But whilst Prograis was going down, he held the legs of Zorrilla, and they both went down. So it should have been called as a knockdown because that right hand put him down. And it was a very good shot. Definitely should have been a knockdown, and the referee did not call it that way. Then in round number two, I thought Zorrilla, I mean, it was a very inactive round, but Zorrilla was doing nicely on the outside. However, in the third round, Zorrilla got dropped with a big left hand whilst he was coming forward. Or he was on the back foot, then Prograis jumped in. Prograis came forward, leaped in with a left hand, and dropped Danielito Zorrilla. Then in rounds number 4 and 5, I gave them both to Zorrilla. I thought that he was boxing very, very well. I thought he was jabbing nicely, and I thought he had the better work. Then in rounds 6 and 7, I gave them both to Regis Prograis because Prograis was doing a bit more, especially he was more active, and he was the one pressing in those 2 rounds. And even though he was pressing primarily throughout this entire fight, he was more effectively pressing in round 6 and 7. Then in round 8, I gave it to Zorrilla again just for doing more on the outside and landing the better shots. Round 9, though, I gave it to Regis Prograis. Prograis was just landing the better shots in that round, especially coming forward, a bit more active as well. Round 10, though, this was a really, really tight round. In my opinion, could have went either way. Those last 3 rounds were very, very close and really determined the winner of this fight, in my opinion, but definitely not in the judges. But the 10th round, I gave it to Zorrilla. 11th round, I gave it to Prograis for his boxing. And in round number 12, although Prograis was working well early, Zorrilla landed some nice body shots and especially some nice counter hooks on the outside, so I gave him that round. So after this underwhelming performance from Regis Prograis, even though he did defend his title for the first time here, I mean, he was expected to dominate Zorrilla. And Zorrilla came in, 1, as a late replacement, and 2, he was a fighter that's not even recognized as like a top 30 name. And Regis Prograis is someone who's seen as like the number 1 man at 140, if not top 3. Like he's really seen as one of the top guys at 140 pounds. And, I mean, this performance was just a very, very bad one from him. But what is next for Regis Prograis? He's now 29-1. Defended his title here, got a lucky break from the judges, who oddly had it extremely wide in his favor. So, I mean, for Prograis, I kind of really don't know what's next for him. Since Teofimo Lopez did relinquish the WBO title, it's said that most likely Arnold Barbosa and Jose Ramirez are going to fight for that belt. And then the IBF champ is Cyril Matias. WBA champ is Rolly Romero. So, I mean, for Prograis, I don't really know what could be next because none of those guys who have the belts are like DAZN or Matchroom fighters. I mean, I don't really know who could be next for him that he could defend against who's part of the DAZN stable. Maybe a Richardson Hitchens he could fight next and defend his title against, or he could fight Liam Paro, who he was supposed to fight in this one. But for Regis Prograis, I don't think he's going to be in against a very, very big name. I think he's just going to defend his title against someone who's decently ranked. But as for Danielito Zorrilla, losing here for the second time in his career, prior to this loss, he took on Arnold Barbosa Jr. and lost a pretty clear unanimous decision. This one, it was a very boring fight, but I thought he won it, so props to him coming in as he was almost like a 20-1 underdog in this one. If he would have won, it would have definitely been my upset of the year. But, I just didn't get the nod from the judges. So, for Zorrilla, I think he's going to just go back, look at a few things here and there with his performance here. And I think he has to realize that the boxing style that he fought in this one could win him a lot of fights. Because when he fought Barbosa, he was primarily coming forward a bit, looked a bit sloppy, was pretty open, getting hit with shots. But in this one, I mean, he was much more focused, much more... I mean, I guess you could say it's because there was a world title on the line, but for Zorrilla, he's probably going to face some guys who don't really have, some relatively unknown guys, get some easy wins, and then I think he'll step it up again, possibly face someone who's higher ranked than him and come in as an opponent, just like when he did against Arnold Barbosa and here against Prograis. So overall, Regis Prograis gets a split decision victory and an underwhelming performance in his home state of Louisiana as he defeats Danielito Zorrilla, handing him his second ever loss. And again, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.